Okay, let's get to the design process. I hope you don't mind I'm looking this direction so I can see the CEREC screen a little bit better. So here's what we're doing. First step is to go ahead and position these where they should reflect the position of what the mouth is in. Ideally line these up. I like to put the incisal edge right along this line here just to make sure that it reflects the actual position in the mouth. You can see we have really clear images. Let me move this plane up just a smidge. Okay, so next step, once it applies the model axis, is to go ahead and trim the area. So right now it's selected tooth number 9. I'm going to unselect tooth number 8. I like to do the pancake technique or the real narrow cutout technique just so I only isolate the Tibase itself. Double click. There we go. And then I'm going to select tooth number 9 and we're going to do the same thing. You can see we got a little bit of weird imaging right there. Double click to start. Narrowly trim the Tibases out. Okay. Next step is to click the scan body heads. Now this is where it becomes absolutely critical that we have high quality images of these pyramids on the top of the scan bodies. So right now it's on tooth number 9. I'm going to go ahead and zoom in really far, and I want to just get a really clear image of where that tip is. Let's see, that looks good. Now let's do number 8. Okay, that looks good. Edit the baseline. Let's see where our baseline is. I'm going to skip those for now. Alright, defining restoration axis. So this is where we will determine exactly the axis of the tooth, ignoring the axis of the implant. Now you can see this one's red right here because the line of the path of insertion of the implant screw is actually coming out the facial of that tooth. So using this little joystick, I'm going to lean these forward, and it also helps sometimes to turn on the lower arch so you can see where those teeth should be. So this is again determining path of insertion. And you notice that both of these teeth are locked together, which is nice when we're doing multiple restorations adjacent to each other. Let me go just a little bit more to the facial. That's pretty good. I don't want them to have buck teeth. Let me pull them back just a little bit lingually. Okay. So you can see, you can probably surmise at this point, there's no way without an angled screw, which I'm not going to use, that we're going to be able to get those screw access channels through the lingual surface of the tooth. It'll come right out the incisal. So Nobel has those great screws that can go, I want to say it's 25 degrees. I don't really have any experience using those. It'd be worth looking into. It's something that hopefully I'll be able to get some experience looking into, but I just don't have any experience with those yet. So we're going to define that restoration axis right here. Go to the next step. And now it should give us a couple of proposals. Now my experience in previous versions of the software, 4.3, even all the way back to whenever it was we first saw dental implants, is oftentimes you get a really wonky, weird proposal. So it's helpful to know all the tools that you have, resources and tools that you have. So yeah, those don't look right to me. So a couple of things that we can do. I'm going to go to positioning. I'm going to change the position using the BioJaw feature. I'm going to hit OK. And I always turn this off. I hate that button. I want these teeth to be what I want them to be, not what the computer wants them to be for now. I'm going to turn back on the lower jaw. And you can see if we were to keep this positioning right now, this would generally work pretty darn well. So that constrained adoption will basically alter the tooth so it more closely parallels the computer's recommendation rather than yours. So I will leave mine deselected because I want the computer to leave the position of the teeth alone. Let's get these positioned a little more favorably. I'm going to go to Scale. And what I'm going to do is just close these spaces a little bit. It's something that I can fix later on. Let's pull this one back just a little bit. There we go. Okay, so I've deselected this. I'm going to go ahead and hit the calculate, and it's going to recalculate those. And hopefully we'll get a little better proposals than we got just a minute ago. Not so much. Yep, not so much. So we got our work cut out for us. So let's do this. Turn everything off. I'm going to go ahead and blend all these rough edges, smooth all these down, and then I'm going to go ahead and just build this out. For whatever reason, the computer really wants to create necks on these crowns, which is not what I want to see. Yeah?
Alright. She takes K-Flex 1 hour before each demo. There's 4 of them.
What's the dose?
100.
100? I don't think Keflex comes in hundreds.
Listen, this is what they got off the phone with. I can't be responsible for this. I'm a messenger. Gosh, dang it.
Yeah.
We just waited so long for the lady to even get that.
Yeah, Keflex doesn't come in hundreds.
Nothing is here.
Okay, it'll be a little bit.
That's okay.
This doesn't even come in hundreds.
It comes in
That's what she
250s.
said.
Yeah, it doesn't come in hundreds. You can't even buy it in hundreds. So do we have 250 milligrams Keflex in the bag?
I gotta look.
Okay, if we have 250s, give her 4 of those.
2, 4, 250.
Uh-huh. Okay, so let's see if we can repair this initial proposal. Get a decent proposal here. Got some wonky outlines here that this computer has proposed for us. Now you'll notice I'm kind of ignoring, well I'm not kind of, I'm absolutely ignoring the gingival emergence profile. I want the gingiva to intentionally shape.
Sorry for all the intrusions. We don't even have it.
Okay, give me a few minutes. I'll be out in a few minutes.
Sounds good.
So we want the gingiva to be shaped by the crown, not the other way around. I don't want the crown to accommodate the gums. I want the gums to be trained by the crown. Now, we can certainly do that any number of ways. You know, I could put in a temporary, you know, a PMMA or a telio block or something acrylic that would train the gums and then come back in and then take an impression and design that based on the gum profile after the training. Or I can design the crowns to train the gums now, realizing I may need to contour just a little bit afterwards. Okay, so we're getting a little bit more normal looking. I'm going to use my circular shape tool a little bit more. And chances are really good, if I design this pressure appropriately, we can actually have the gums pressed into that, without strangulating them, pressed into that dark little triangle we're seeing down there along the gingival line. So oftentimes when we're doing this, I'll make sure that I prepare my patients for the fact that you may need to be numbed when we're delivering these crowns. There's a very real chance that this could hurt. If it does, I want to know. We'll get you numb because we're going to be intentionally sculpting that gum tissue with the crowns, which requires pressure to do that. Okay, I'm going to save. I like to periodically save as we're going through the design process just to make sure. Just to make sure. And then I have a patient waiting on me and a doctor who wants to come shadow just a little bit. So, give me just a moment and we'll get this design finished. Alright, so line angles, you'll find oftentimes the CEREC machine, the line angles are way too rounded.
I'll let the doctor know. Hang tight, guys.
Okay, so right now we've got way too much contact up that contact, the interproximal contact. Too much red, too much red. Nothing on the distal, let's create a contact back there. I like to start with a little bit of yellow. That's what I like to do. We're going to pull that back a little there. I'll pull the rest back on the other tooth. Yellow is about the extent of what I want contact-wise. And I apologize if my voice sounds a little bit out of sorts. We have the flu at my house. And so I've been up and down all night with kiddos, and I think I have a little bit of it myself. Okay, so one thing to bear in mind is the design process isn't finished here on the screen. It's finished when you put it in the mouth. So we've got plenty of other options or opportunities to do some fine-tuning from the standpoint of post-mill processing. All right. Okay, let me save. Then I'm going to group. I'm going to do a little incisal variation. And then I do want to alter these line angles just a little bit more. You can see how much pressure we've got internally there on the gingiva. That could create some, a lot of pressure could create some pain for him. So let me just pull that back just a smidge. So this gentleman has actually been walking around without teeth. We made him a flipper, a real nice flipper, but he didn't really like it. So he's been walking around without teeth for a while. So we're going to do our best to make it perfect for him, but I don't think he's going to be really exacting in how things turn out. I think he'll be happy with just about anything, but I want it to look perfect. I want him to be, like we talked about before, a little walking billboard in a good way. Not a bad billboard, a good billboard for our practice. Okay, let's group these, and then we're going to do some incisal variation. Where is my variation tool? Maybe it's not an option anymore. Interesting. Okay. Never mind, we'll ungroup it. All right, let's go ahead and split. That margin line is in the wrong place. I want that to be lower. especially on the facial. It needs to be invisible. Let's turn that back on. Still too high. All right. Then we can actually bring this up on the lingual. I like to bring them high on the lingual, not only for the sprue, you know, but also for the cleansability. Okay, we'll get that one split. It's creating the modeling now. All right, that one looks good. Let's go to number 9. Let's separate this one. This gets a little bit tedious, but only because we are shooting for excellence and we want to make sure that the outcome is perfect. There's certainly some ways you can cut corners. Let's see where that proposal is going to end up. Still a little too incisal. So once the machine kicks out the restorations, then I'm going to do some incisal variation on my own. Let's see, do we have minimal thickness? Good. Okay, we're going to apply that now. And then I'm going to turn off the upper arch. I got some thin spots. I'll have to trim the Tibase just a little bit, but that should yield a really nice outcome. Facial coverage is good. There's our crown. Oh, we got cut throughs. You can see the cut throughs here, so I got to go back and edit. Let's see about here. Yep, we're going to be super thin there too, so I need to bulk these back out. Let's bulk this out. Let me go to the anatomic shape tool, bulk that out. And now we're going to start running into contact challenges. So you've got Emax to Emax. We're bonding Emax to Emax. And let me just see what our parameter settings are. Sometimes these parameters are set way high. Okay, minimal thickness. So yeah, we're at 0.7, so we're fine. We are fine on the minimal thickness. So I'm going to do just a little bit of adding, a couple of spots. Realizing it's going to be thin, but we're bonding Emax to Emax. We are going to have to do a little bit of, come on now. Why are we calculating? Not sure why we're calculating. All right, come on now. Sometimes you have to encourage the computer program. All right. because I did some editing, it recalculates the veneering structure. Okay. All right, let's get these loaded and designed, or loaded and milling. Thanks for putting up with me. This has been a long video. Enjoy. Yeah, these are challenging, but as long as you've got some experience and can manage the technical nuance, they usually turn out to be just fine. All right, so it's gone ahead and adjusted our milling abutment position, so the sprues can now be in a different place than we thought it was going to be. Hopefully that won't create some challenges. Let's see. Okay, that's a favorable position there. All right, I'm going to get these milling, and I'm going to mill these out of the MO blocks, the little white MO blocks, or the medium opacity. They're really white, bright white blocks. So, thanks for watching.